everybody, my name is Mr. Francy and welcome back to Mr. Francy Reads. Today I am literally going to be spending this video getting back to some comments. I love seeing all of the comments you'll put on my videos, and I love talking about them in videos. I was going to wait until I did my next reading vlog, but the thing is that I am having more and more comments come in, which I love. So I just want to start getting back to them now while I have the opportunity. So let's get right into this, shall we? So my first comment is from Andrea. Andrea commented on my middle grade versus middle grade video, saying, I love middle grade books. Yay! I'm glad. They're amazing, aren't they? She says, so this video is for me. Yay! I remember my sassy opening to that one. This video may not be for you. There's a cookie down the back, and thank you, Andrea. She says, I like how middle grade books feel more creative than adult books. That's a very good point, actually. Yeah, I agree. They do feel a lot more creative than adult ones. Yeah, I agree. Like, with the restrictions of what you can't talk about with middle grade kids, the authors really push themselves creatively. Yeah, exactly. Because there's that line that you can't cross with middle grade books. The author is forced to find something else that's going to grab their attention outside of what you potentially could with a YA or an adult series. Yeah, fantastic comment. Thank you, Andrea. Michelle commented on my hashtag Save the TBRs video. She said, no, I love TBRs, watching and filming them. It's not only keeps me reading, but keeps me making content. I love it, and I absolutely have to agree. Certainly, there are a lot of things that I feel like I could talk about if I didn't have TBR videos or if I didn't have TBRs, but undeniably having TBRs have me having books that I'm going to read and therefore create more ideas for content than I would otherwise have. So I completely agree with what you're saying there. But yeah, I agree as well. I love filming my TBRs. I always enjoy doing it, but I also love watching them like you do. So thank you, Michelle. Jane commented also on my hashtag Save the TBRs video, saying, I'm a mood reader and I already have a list of books already planned, but I can do a video. I don't know if the style of videos I put out actually work, informal vlogs versus sitting in front of the camera, but I can do TBR videos. I would love to see that, Jane. Yeah, I think, you know, every booktuber is different in their own way. If we were to look at similarities with booktubers, how some are more formal than others, some are, informal, casual, some are more sarcastic, some are bright and bubbly, some are humorous, some have a darker tone to them. Obviously everyone's different, but for me, I just want to see everyone do a TBR video. I would love to see the booktuber with the darkest tone around them say, all right, Mr. Francy wanted me to do a video for my TBR, so here we go. I'm only reading one book, and this is that book. Are you happy, Mr. Francy? Because I'd be thrilled to see that type of video. Yeah, I think everyone should do a TBR video, and that's just me. That's not me forcing you to do it. Obviously, you are going to determine, and you being anyone who's a booktube creator, you will determine yourself whether you're going to do one or not. But in my opinion, I just think that everyone should. But yeah, I can understand with you being a mood reader that it is a different situation. But yeah, I'd love to see it, Jane. I'd love to see TBR videos from you. Andrea commented on my Save the TBRs video saying, I love watching TBR videos. Yay! Hashtag Save the TBRs. She says, I'm a mood reader. There you go. We're getting a couple of mood reads here. In fact, I spoke to my team leader at work today who loves to read as much as I do. And even he was telling me he's a mood reader. And I just don't think being a mood reader would work for me. So it's tough for me to say, you're a mood reader, still do a TBR. I think that's very selfish of me to say because I want to see your TBR video. But in saying that, I still think a TBR video can be done for a mood reader, as I explained in that video, by simply saying something along the lines of, look, here is a look at my TBR. You'll know I'm a mood reader. So at the end of the day, this is just what I currently plan to read, but this could change even tomorrow. But let's have a look at what I'm currently planning to read. But Andrea goes on to say, so I never make a TBR for myself, being that she's a mood reader. She says, I also don't have a booktube channel. I do have a bookstagram, but I don't know what kind of content I should be putting on there. Yeah, I am certainly not the person to be able to give you advice on bookstagram. I tried it for a little while, and then it just didn't work for me. Instagram is one of those funny sorts of social media apps that I do have on my phone, but I very seldom use, just because for me, it's not the type of content that I want to be creating, which is not a judgment on anyone who enjoys viewing Instagram or creating content on Instagram. It's just not my type of creativity medium that I like to go for. Instagram is very much about taking pictures, photos, or I don't know if you can put up a video on Instagram, but if you can, it's probably going to be very short. It just doesn't work for me. So I wouldn't be able to advise as far as Bookstagram, which is a section of Instagram, what you could do with that. But if anyone has some comments for Andrea, please leave them in the space below. She says, I like making short video reviews of what I've read, so I've thought that maybe BookTube would be better for me than Bookstagram. Yeah, I would agree. If you like doing short book reviews, I think that would be fantastic. She says, however, I haven't taken that leap, but this makes me think that a TBR video and some video reviews might be positive. Yeah, absolutely, Andrea. My gosh, I used to, when I was talking about the Save the TBR video, I was talking about how back in the day, like way back in the day, the cornerstones of BookTube were TBRs and monthly wraps. But one thing that I failed to remember and therefore mention in that video is that one of the very most common types of videos way back in the day when I first began were book reviews, because we're reading books, it's BookTube, we might as well review the book we've read. And now I feel like they're a whole lot less common. I think it's because reading vlogs have replaced book reviews. Am I right or wrong? Let me know. There are so many different booktubers out there. I don't follow absolutely everyone that's out there on BookTube, so I don't know. But at least with those that I follow, it seems that reading vlogs take precedent over book reviews. And if you're doing TBR's monthly wraps, reading vlogs and book reviews, it's almost too much about the one book, if that makes sense. So even though you may read more than one book in the month, if say you're reading 5 books in a month, the first book that you've read, you've spoken about that in your first weekly reading vlog, you've also done a review for it, you've also already spoken about it in your TBR video, and you're talking about it again in your monthly wrap. But I miss book reviews, dedicated book reviews. So I would love to see them make a comeback, Andrea. And if that's going to motivate you to get into BookTube, I am all for telling you, yes, please give it a go. I think it'll be fantastic. I have definitely considered doing book reviews again. I used to do them, dedicated book reviews. Sometimes I would do spoiler-free and spoiler. Sometimes I would just do spoiler-free, and sometimes I would just do spoiler book reviews. And with the latest book I read, Here's to Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera, it ignited my my enticement to want to go back and do book reviews. So yeah, definitely I would love to see you get onto BookTube and do those things, Andrea. Let me know how you go. Jane commented on my reading vlog for the 15th to the 27th of January, saying, great video. Thank you, Jane. She says, I'm a little further ahead in the Coffee House series, but I get how some of the books are good and some are disappointing. It is a good series with interesting characters. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I kind of assume that that's how it's going to go. So for those of you who did not see that reading vlog from me, I've read the first 4 Coffee House Mystery Series books, Cozy Mystery Series by Cleo Coyle, and I'm planning on reading books 5 and 6 this month in February. And I loved book 1, loved book 2, loved book 4, really didn't like book 3. Yeah, so I feel like some of them are going to be better than others, and that's just the way it's going to be. But yeah, from what I've read so far, Jane, I definitely agree. I feel like it is a good series overall with very interesting characters. I agree with you saying interesting characters. And yeah, really intrigued to see what I think of both books 5 and 6, but thank you for your comment. Ashley Marie commented on the same video saying, I'd love to have Lauren as a best friend. She seems like such an awesome person. Yeah, so Ashley Marie is referring to Lauren Graham with my reading the book, Have I Told You This Already? Lauren Graham's second memoir. Oh my gosh, yes, Ashley Marie, 100%. It is so good. If I said it at the time and I'm going to say it again, if you want to read a book where you feel like someone is having a conversation with you versus listening or reading to standard narration, highly recommend you pick up Have I Told You This Already? It literally feels like Lauren Graham is sitting down with you, taking your hands in hers and saying, let me tell you about my life. And it's just, oh my gosh, it's so good. And yes, I want to be her best friend. Johara, the Witchy Reader, has commented on my Save the TBRs video saying, awesome video. I love TBRs. Thank you. Thank you, Johara. I appreciate it. She also commented on my reading vlog saying, awesome vlog. Thank you, Johara. Cozy has commented on my Save the TBRs video, and Cozy says, I started watching BookTube around 2012, and TBR and wrap-up videos have always been my favourites. I haven't noticed they have slowed down since I now only watch a few channels. I'm a mood reader, but one thing I do is each month in my reading journal is choose 10 books on my mind, quote unquote, and at the end of the month, it's fun to see how many of the books I read that I hope to read at the beginning of the month. Lately, I've been working on weekly TBRs, which I find much easier to stick to. Yeah, I can completely understand where you're coming from with the weekly TBRs. I'll comment on everything, but I'll start with what you said at the end there and work my way back. I have a monthly TBR, a weekly TBR, and a daily TBR spread out in a Microsoft Word makeshift calendar spreadsheet, if that makes sense. I have birds that are tweeting very loud in the background. I wonder if you can hear them. They're not normally this loud, but now that I've got a video going, of course they're going to be that loud. So I hope you can still hear me. Yeah, so I have it's getting louder and louder. Give me a moment. Okay, I closed the window. Hopefully means you can hear me more. Nothing against the birds, but I want you to still be able to hear me. Yeah, so I have a makeshift calendar that I have in a Microsoft Word document. I just find it easier to use Word than I do Excel. And yeah, I put in all the books that I plan to read that month and basically divide it per day of what my goal is to read. It's not to force myself to read, it's just more to give me an idea of if I'm on track to reach the goal that I've set for the month. And so yeah, it is set out for the month, the week, and the day. And yeah, it's definitely a lot easier when you break them down, so I definitely do agree with that. I love the idea of your journal and seeing of those 10 books that are on your mind, which ones you ended up getting to. And yeah, I love that you haven't noticed the change between TBRs and monthly wraps. It really does depend on the booktubers that you're following, if that change is noticeable or not. I do realize that there are some more booktubers, that are bringing back their TBRs and monthly wraps, and I'm pretty sure it has nothing to do with my saying the TBRs. Could you imagine little Mr. Francy's little booktube channel having influence on other booktube channels? Like, oh yes, spread the Save the TBR around the world. I mean, it'd be great, but I think it's just a coincidence. But still, I am starting to see them come back, and I really do appreciate that. But yeah, it very much comes down to, yeah, I mean, and this is, I'm saying your as a generalization, anyone's perception is their reality. Depending upon who you, the listener currently listening to me right now, depending upon who you follow on BookTube will dictate the experience that you're going to have. And so if you follow 20 different BookTubers and none of them do TBRs or monthly wraps anymore, then you will definitely notice the change because it's not there anymore for you to see. If you follow 10 or 20 BookTubers and they're all still doing TBRs and monthly wraps, then obviously, again, your perception is your reality. But yeah, so I think it's great that all the ones that you follow still do them, Cozy. But yeah, for me, a lot of them had fallen off doing them. Thank you for your comment. Pat G commented on my February TBR video. Speaking of save the TBRs. And Pat G says, hashtag save the TBRs with 2 sparkly hearts. Thank you, Pat G. And Pat G says, looks like you'll have a fun reading month. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I, at the start of the month, was looking forward to every single book that I had on my TBR. And I'm still very much intrigued by all of them. I can't wait to let you know when we get to my monthly wrap what I actually felt about all of them. But yeah, very excited going into the month to read them. Pat G says, I don't have a fully planned out TBR, but I know I want to finish Babel by R.F. Kuang and read Death of the Coupon Clipper. Ding, 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 ding. That is the word of the day. It is for the Haley Powell Food and Cocktail mystery series by Lee and Hollis. The buddy read that we're doing, which Pat G does say. Pat G wants to read not only Babel by R.F. Kuang, but also Death of the Coupon Clipper for the buddy read. And with a charm on top by Samantha Silva. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm getting very excited hearing that. Samantha Silva's Spelford Cove Cozy Mystery Series is a hidden gem in my mind. I saw Jessica from Lady Lovesaid Reads discuss this series. I think it was last year or maybe late the year before. And it sounded great to me, so I thought I would pick it up. Never had heard of them before. Fell in love with the series very, very quickly, and then never heard about them again anywhere else. So I still feel like they're a hidden gem. So to see someone comment on one of my videos saying that they're going to read one of the Spelford Cove mystery series has me very excited. So Pat, thank you. I hope you enjoy With a Charm on Top. I do not remember what I rated that one, but I love that series as a whole. It is so fantastic. If you are looking for a cozy mystery with a side of paranormal set in a bakery, it is fantastic. Oh my gosh, it just hit every single point for me. I loved it so much. Thank you for your comment, Pat G. Johara commented on my February TBR saying, awesome TBR, thank you. Mickey Sock commented on my February TBR saying, if you do write to all the books I've loved before, sorry, I'll explain that in a minute. Mickey Sock said, if you do write to all the books I've loved before, I would read it. I think I will have to check out the Coffee Cozy Mystery Series soon. It sounds so interesting. So Mickey Sock is referring there to the Coffee House Mystery Series by Cleo Coyle. Yeah, very interesting. So I hope you love it if you do check it out. As far as the To All the Books I Loved Before, if you have not seen my February TBR, one of the books I plan to read this month, which the irony is, it is the very next book I plan to pick up, is a book called To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. Is it Jenny? Yes, Jenny Han. Book 1 in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before series, trilogy. And I was talking very fast in that video, and my mind was going a million miles an hour because I was so excited to present my February TBR that I accidentally called the book the To All the Books I've Loved Before book. And then I said, well, if ever I was going to write a book, then I would call it To All the Books I've Loved Before. And so Mickey Sock is saying, if you do write To All the Books I've Loved Before, I would read it with a laughing emoji and a sparkly heart. Thank you, Mickey Sock. If I write the book, you'll be the first to know. Thank you so much. Ashley Marie has commented on my January wrap video, saying, looks like you had a great reading month. Thank you. She goes on to say, I started out the month great, but ever since a family member of mine passed in the middle of the month, I haven't read as much. I can understand that. You know, when we go through some really tough experiences, it can certainly affect different things, and reading can definitely be one of them. So I can understand that, and I'm so sorry for your loss. Ashley Marie goes on to say, I also love the Campers and Criminals series. Oh my gosh, it was so good. Look, I am such a stickler for my TBR. If I have a TBR and it is set out with all the books I plan to read in the order I plan to read them, it takes a mountain for me to break that TBR. But the first book in the Campers and Criminal series, Beaches, Bungalows and Burglaries, I loved it so much that the final book on my TBR, which is called Beneath the Sugar Sky by Sienna Maguire, got shelved by me to pick up at a later date so I could pick up book number 2 in the Campers and Criminal series because I loved book 1 so much. And whilst the Campers and Criminals series is not high on my SAS list, it is on one of my SAS lists. So I do plan on going back to it at some point, but it's been a great start for me, and I'm so glad that you love it as well. Thank you for your comment. Johara the Witchy Reader on my January wrap says, awesome wrap up. Thank you, Johara. Pat G on my January wrap says, it's been a while since I read it, but I remember being shocked by who the killer was in Beaches, Bungalows and Burglaries, and for the same reason. I guess we felt just as May must have, and she's given 3 sparkly hearts. For context, without going into spoilers, in book 1 in the Campers and Criminals series, we find out who the murderer is. Now, that's not a spoiler that there's a murderer in that book, because in 99.5% of cozy mysteries, there is a mystery that revolves around a murder taking place, and we're trying to work out who the murderer/killer is. So that's not a spoiler. But I won't say who it is, but what I will say is, you generally find out a certain amount of information about about the murderer as you proceed along in a cozy mystery, as you would in a standard mystery, and you get to see one side of them, and then it's revealed that they are the murderer at the end of the book. In this particular case, prior to learning who the murderer was in Beaches, Bungalows and Burglaries, there was a character that I absolutely loved in book 1. It turned out that that character was the murderer. What let me down is that, generally speaking, in a cozy mystery series, whoever the murderer ends up being, we don't see them again, generally speaking. So I wasn't let down by the fact that they were the murderer. I was let down by the fact that you're the murderer means I'm not going to see you again. And that really annoyed me. For context to what Pat was saying at the end there, yes, we felt just as May must have. Mae West is the protagonist in the series, and May also liked the person I'm referring to. May likes a lot of people, so that doesn't give anything away, but also like that person. So yes, I guess that we definitely did feel the same way that May did. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was very shocked, and it was very disappointing for me. So I hope that Tonya Kappas breaks the rules and that we bring this character back, because I love this character so much and I needs to see me some more of this character. I mean, I can just forgive them. I can't forgive a lot of the murderers and cozies, but I can forgive this one if it means they come back, okay? Thank you for your comment, Pat. Jane has commented on my January wrap saying, nice wrap up. Thank you. I found book 1 of Tonya Kappas' series on Kindle Unlimited, but I haven't started it yet. The audiobook is in the library, but I have to wait to get it. I did listen to the audiobook of both of them. A lot of the time these days I listen exclusively to audiobooks, even though I do retain the physical copies of the books because I like having the physical representation. I'm also crocheting blankets a lot of the time when I'm doing my reading, so I just listen and crochet at the same time. It just makes it easier for me. Yeah, I have heard some complaints about the narrator of the Campers and Criminals series. It took me a moment to get on board with the narrator because she's very breathy. I don't know if you've ever listened to the narrator that narrated the Selection series by Kiera Cass, but she's very similar. She's a very breathy type of narrator. It's hard to explain without using that word, but yeah, very breathy. You'll understand if you hear it one day. You'll be like, oh yes, that's what he meant. Very breathy. But yeah, so that took me a moment to wrap my head around. But I think the story, I was so engrossed and intrigued by the plots of both books 1 and 2, as well as absolutely the characters of books 1 and 2, that I was almost able to just forgive the narration and enjoy the story for what it was, despite listening to the audiobook. But yeah, Jane, I can't wait to hear how you go with it. Let me know how you go when you do get it. Bumblebummy responded to my January wrap saying, love the wrap up, thank you. And Bumblebummy says, I purchased Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's library for her reading assignment. I think you're referring to your daughter. With that one. If I'm wrong, let me know. And it sounds so good. Oh my gosh, Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's library. How much time do you have? We don't have a lot of time. So very quickly, I'll just say, and this is very short, I loved it. And I think everyone should read this book. If you love games in books and you have no issue reading middle grade, you need to read Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's library. It was so good. It is not high up on my SAS list, and that's more because of how many books are in the series, just like with Campers and Criminals. There's so many books in the series, so it's not high up on my SAS list, which means it'll probably carry over to 2024, but I'm definitely looking forward to reading more books in that series because book 1 was amazing. Thank you, Bumblebummy. Rocky Mountain Book Addict, my dear friend Amy, commented on my January wrap video saying, I really enjoyed the first 4 books in the Campers and Criminals series. I plan to continue the series this year as well. Yay! Oh, that's awesome. I'm halfway up to catching up with you. Maybe we could do a buddy read of Campers and Criminals. Oh, Amy, let me know. I think we're already doing some buddy reads already on the Discord, but if anyone wants to do a Campers and Criminals buddy read this year or even next year, let me know. I will be on board for a Campers and Criminals buddy read. Thank you, Amy. Stargater commented on my SAS list completed series 3 saying, hey, I found you, LOL, and thanks. You're very welcome. Stargater says, Crime and Poetry Magical Bookshop Mysteries. Ooh, nice. Goes on to say, if I don't judge a book by its cover, I wouldn't read Cozy Mysteries. I get that. That needs to be a meme. If I don't judge a book by its cover, I wouldn't read Cozy Mysteries. Cozy Mysteries, if you don't know, have some of the most gorgeous covers I've ever seen on books. So it totally makes sense. Stargater goes on to say, Amanda Flower that is, has a couple of series. I only like this one. I have a rough relationship with Flower. I'm glad I kept trudging through my Kindle, this big 2023 clean out. I've found a pattern. I like the stores, but not the food cozies. Of course, this can change. I haven't read a cheese book yet. There you go. Stargater goes on to say, I was all set to read a couple of chapters and be bored. I was ready to DNF before I started. And then says, stop, I'm not alone. Yeah, and that's great. I don't mind when people have differing opinions to me, especially if you watch my videos and you don't agree with me. Please do feel free to let me know. That's not a problem at all. Gator goes on to say, I wasn't sure how I would handle the paranormal, and I will say I enjoyed the book and look forward to continuing the series. Excellent. The bookstore with its book club and book recommendations all appeal to me. Yay! I was not bored and look forward to the characters' growth and development. Nice. And Stargater goes on to end by saying, thank you to booktuber Mr. Francy Reads for his cozy videos and recommendations. FYI, he's from Australia and really funny. Thank you, Stargater. That is a promo and a half. He's from Australia and really funny. Thank you. I love it. And my final comment is also from Stargater, which was placed onto my SAS list completed series 1. And Stargater says, hi, Mr. Francy, have you read Anne Rice's vampire series? If so, does it compare to Twilight? I have not read that series yet. I'll need to look it up. Give me a moment. Oh, okay. Yep. So this is the Vampire Chronicles that you're referring to by Anne Rice. So there are, a number of books in this series. There are 13 books in this series. Book 1 you all may have heard of before. It is Interview with the Vampire. Yeah, that is a book that I've been interested in for a while. It's been on my bucket list for years. But I have not read it yet. I didn't know it was a whole series though. So thank you for letting me know about it. But yeah, I can't make that comparison. It looks like this series has a darker tone. It looks like it includes the genre of horror and gothic, whereas to me the Twilight, saga is more YA paranormal, where this looks more like adult horror gothic type. So yeah, I think Twilight Saga might be a little more lighthearted and romancy compared to the Vampire Chronicles. Is that what it was called? Yeah, the Vampire Chronicles. But it's certainly a series for me to give a go to. All right, everyone, we made it to the half-hour mark because, of course, we have. Because there were so many amazing comments. So thank you. Thank you, everyone, for all your amazing comments. I'm so sorry I didn't get to them in the last week of my videos, but I want to make sure that I touched upon them somewhere. So thank you for all the love. If you stayed with me through to the end of this video, please leave some sparkly love hearts. I'd really appreciate seeing them. But in the meantime, then you will go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Please do be kind and love one another and spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world. And until next time, happy reading. Bye, everyone.